a day of an intense sell-off in the benchmark indices and the stock markets in India. We've seen both the Nifty and the Sensex plunge over 1.5%. We've seen the Bank Nifty fall over 3.5%, and that slide really continuing as per the banking majors, really, and HDFC Bank contributing over 70% to that fall on the Sensex. So, of course, geopolitical tensions and banking stocks really is what investors are anxious about, apart from various other global factors. But to decode this, we have, of course, market veteran Ambareesh Baliga ji join us on the show. Thank you for joining us. Help us decode this really, this market meltdown today. Many were saying that, look, the euphoria was really at an all-time high. This was just coming. And would you say that? Would you say the warning signs were all there? And one geopolitical factor, one negative news, and really markets have been thrown out of gear.
See, in post-mortem, you can always say that the signals were always there, but signals have been there for a very long time. I mean, the valuations were quite expensive, if I'm not wrong, for the last 4 to 5 months. But then the markets continued going up because of liquidity. I mean, finally, I mean, it has to be some news which had to break it, and the news, I mean, clearly has been in the last couple of days the issues, uh, geopolitical issues, basically the Red Sea issue, and then lately now this morning we heard about Iran firing missiles on Pakistan, especially the Balochistan space. So I think that's what has unnerved the markets. And if you look at the global markets yesterday, they got affected because of the China slowdown. You had the US markets falling. So all these put together have broken the market today. And the fall, today's fall, I mean, if it remains as it is, then I think it will be the biggest fall in the last 2 years. I mean, biggest single day fall in the last 2 years. So we have to see.
Biggest single day fall in the last 2 years is what this potentially
I
is.
mean,
Also, remember
if
the
it
year has
stays
just begun.
for the whole day. I mean, if it doesn't recover, then it'll be the
Right.
biggest.
Right. And also remember that, this is just like you said, the beginning of the year in a sense. It's just a few days into 2024, and we are seeing a bloodbath as deep as that, as deep as what we are witnessing today. So, HDFC Bank really plunging the most. Your
Yeah.
thoughts on that? Because many analysts saying that, look, why is the Bank Nifty and all other banking majors really falling as sharply, but HDFC Bank contributing to that decline the most? Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, today's fall in the Bank Nifty was basically because of HDFC Bank, and especially post the management call. I think the analysts have been disappointed with the sort of a management call over the next couple of quarters, because on most of the parameters, I don't think the management has been able to convince the analysts that things will look much better going ahead. So I think there is a bit of a concern on that front as to how the deposit growth will be, I mean, going ahead. And with that, the sort of NIMs which have been contracting will possibly continue to contract. And the biggest issue, I mean, which has been there over the last couple of quarters, was that merger of HDFC with HDFC Bank, which has resulted in a number of these ratios getting spoiled. So I think it'll take possibly a couple of more quarters for HDFC Bank to come back to the norm which we have seen in the last so many years. So till then, I think the pressure will be there. But I think it's a good opportunity for a long-term investors to buy HDFC Bank at lower level.
All right, and of course, long-term investors then want to know which sectors to turn to, given all these rising geopolitical tensions, shipping firms, shipping stocks also being impacted. So, given all these geopolitical tensions across the globe, really at this point, which sectors would you say the investors can bet on?
I think people should look at the economy stocks, the consumption stocks, because as far as India is concerned, I think the growth story would be intact. I mean, although, I mean, if there are issues all around, yes, it will affect us to a certain extent, but then it will not bring us down. And that's exactly what we have seen in the last 1.5, 2 years, that irrespective of whatever happens globally, India has been able to stick on the growth path. So I think one should be looking at the economy stocks and the consumption stocks in India.
All right, and you're also saying there's no need to panic. India is resilient so far from all the global challenges. But of course,
Yeah.
there are many reports really about investors now anxious, and the Fed rate cuts may not come as deep as they were anticipated to.
Right.
So, your thoughts on that?
See, in fact, the rate cuts we were expecting in the first half of 2024, but from the sort of, I mean, the statements coming from the Fed, I think this can get delayed. It can possibly happen in the third quarter of this calendar year or latest by fourth quarter of this calendar year. But at the same time, I mean, I'll not be surprised if there is a sudden move to possibly increase the rates by 25 basis points in the first half. So I think
All
that will be
right.
a
Okay, but also Asian stocks really plunging. Before our markets even opened, we saw Asian markets witness a disappointing session already. The Chinese stocks really being hit hard as well. Your thoughts on that market?
See, I mean, the Asian markets have been hit hard, no doubt, because the numbers coming from China were much poorer than expected. But then, see, if the Asian markets are not really performing well against that, if Indian markets continue to perform, I think it'll draw more funds than what we were drawing earlier. So overall, I think that should be positive for India. But in the short to medium term, it's very difficult to say as to where we would go, because if the pressure continues, there could be panic from the retail and the HNIs who have been supporting the Indian markets for the last so many months. I think there could be some panic on that front. But then if there is panic, I think it's an opportunity to buy at lower rates.
All right, so my panic also means an opportunity to buy. Thank you for joining us and sharing your thoughts.